well, nigga. Love. Wanna know whether or not the work you put in was worth it? Ever catch yourself wondering how it's
Hey guys,
out?
welcome back to Life with Alicia, the podcast. We're here with episode 3, and we have Kaylin here today.
Hello.
We're going to be talking about motherhood, entrepreneurship, and just random stuff. So we'll just get into it. So, and to go into like where I know Kaylin from, we went to Winthrop together.
Yes.
I graduated in 2018.
I was December 2019.
Okay.
So I was
and we didn't do like any projects together, but you were in the same realm, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah, and so it's good to have you here, and I'm
Thank
excited.
you. I was super excited when Faith asked me. So
Yeah,
I'm so glad
I know. When Faith told me, I'm like, yay. That's because I know that people are wondering what you've been up to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like to give people backstory, I feel like you've always been a very like, you've always had stuff going on and people were always interested in you. You know, pretty girl, everybody always wants to know what's going on, right?
Yes.
And yeah, so what have you been up to?
So post grad, I had this like amazing idea. I had started a jewelry line. So just to kind of go back, in undergrad,
Right.
I had my conceited brand. I was doing fringe jeans. I had hoodies, I had t-shirts, and I was doing eyelashes. So I was like super busy. And I loved it. That kind of let me know that entrepreneurship was what I wanted to do. So fast forward to 2020, once the pandemic hit, my supplier, I couldn't get any of my stuff anymore for jewelry.
Really?
Yes. And it was so frustrating, but I just kind of like I said, I had worked so much during undergrad. When that stopped, I just stopped. And I think that it kind of like, I don't want to say discouraged, well, it did in a way. But it to me at the time, it felt like a break that I needed. But it was also, I did not see the part of like, okay, how do I get back into what I want to do?
Right.
And so that's when I just got like a regular job. I went into like corporate. I was doing HR and recruiting and things like that. And I kept trying to figure out a way to get back into entrepreneurship. So fast forward to, I got pregnant in 2022. So 2022, I got pregnant. I was doing really good at my job. I got a raise, everything like that. And then once I got 8 months pregnant, there was a layoff. And so that was probably like, it was damaging just because of how independent I am as a person.
Right.
So yes,
And 8 months pregnant, that's such a vulnerable time.
Right?
That's disrespectful.
I was like distraught. But I was also really still. Like I'm very into like my faith and with God and everything. And so I was terrified, but something also was like, there has to be a reason for this. But so I was laid off. I wasn't really doing anything. I was just focusing on being a mom. And my family knew that I love social media. I love doing like PR stuff, event planning, and they have a Greek paraphernalia business. And so they was like, hey, we need help with doing social media. We need help with our photo shoots. We need help doing more projects and stuff in the community. Like, can you come work for us? And that's as of late, that's what I've been doing until here recently. I just started a business that I was telling y'all about earlier. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Just being a
That's
mom.
nice. I feel like it's such a, when we were in college, I almost feel like that was the easiest time to start stuff.
Yeah.
And I wish I even did more. You know what I mean? Because you have so much reach, like all the people that are around.
Yeah,
like I
we
mean,
do.
it's so and you always have a place to stay if you live on campus, especially, and if you have a meal plan, you have no excuses almost. And then once you get out, I would say. So how do you feel like the transition from undergrad, like from graduating to how was that for you? Was that part, but you still had a lot of stuff going on, so it was fine.
It was good until COVID.
Yeah.
And so that kind of put a halt to everything because I just had like, you could not tell me that I was not about to go skyrocket with being an entrepreneur. Like, you could not tell me that. I had all of the, like, confidence in the world. And then that definitely derailed everything. But I definitely hit, post-grad depression? Is that what they call it? Yeah. So I definitely hit that. Just sitting at home every day, not really knowing, like, okay, what are you gonna do? Like,
Do you think that time prepared you for that layoff, like later on?
Yeah, I will say that because that, and also just I had so many moms telling me like, I know this sounds crazy, but you will never get this time back. Like I know this is not how you wanted to do it. I know you wanted this, that, and the third. But if I was able to stay at home with my baby, like, I would do it. And so it became a thing of like, okay, let's game plan. So what are the next? At first, it was just, I'm going to stay home for 6 months, and I'm not going to do anything. Like, we're just going to focus on him. And so we came up with a game plan financially and, like, how that was going to look for us.
Yeah.
And it was great. But I also, like, me being me, I was, like, itching to do something and to get out of the house. So.
Right. So what do you say to those moms that were pushing you to stay at home? Do you feel like, because I feel like sometimes, like, one of my friends, she's about to have her second, and I was like, are you going to stay home? Yeah. She was like, no. No.
I don't feel like they were pushing me necessarily. I will say they were just, like, changing my perspective.
Trying to make it more comfortable for you.
And I will say me and my son are so bonded. Like, he and I don't know. It's funny. People are like, what is up? I'm like, he's my best friend. Like, we are very close. And so I think that's what it allowed me, because talking to my mom, she was like, I remember when I had you and I had to go back to work, she was like, it was the hardest day. And she was like, so you haven't really experienced that, because I have a very, very flexible schedule. She was like, but, just being able to kind of witness those first moments and not have to go to a daycare and someone tell you about that was something that I never even thought about. So I'm thankful, and it was definitely a blessing in disguise. And it also gave me time to kind of map out, like, okay, what do you really want to do? Because every day I was just waking up, going to work, and I didn't have any like time. So it gave me that.
Do you feel pressure from outside at all? Because I feel like I felt pressure. I had always had so much stuff going on, and I felt so much pressure. People are looking like, and so much, not even I had so much going on, but so much recognition. People were actually watching, and so that kind of made me uncomfortable. Especially like even after when Jarrell got drafted, I knew that people were watching, like, what's going on, where is she, and that made me really uncomfortable. And like, do you feel like you had or do you still have outside pressure to like do your entrepreneurship things, or do you still feel like there's more pressure that you put on yourself?
So I definitely put pressure on myself. However, I know that I had like people had their opinions of me, and like I definitely had like a persona. I don't know how I'm trying to. I definitely had that. And I remember I had someone ask me, like, Kaylin, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know.
Right.
They're like, what are you doing? Like, we're not used to you sitting down. We're not used to you, like, not doing anything. And just away from me just being entrepreneur undergrad, like, I was in 3 orgs. And I was, like, event director of these orgs. I was PR with, like, so, and I love to do that stuff. So the times that I did sit down, it was kind of like, whew. But it was like, okay, well, how are you going to get out of this? Like, how are you going to get back up?
Yeah. Do you find yourself when you were doing all that, and now, like, when you do, like, just a little bit of it, you're like, how did I do it all?
Yeah, I do.
Especially, and then we were talking about the invisible load of a mother. Ooh. Like, when you're doing one thing, like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, okay, or I made sure I brought my pump just to make sure that I had, like, it's just, like, so many other things that you're thinking about. So it's just, like, how did we... But still, how did we do it all? And sometimes off of no sleep or hungover or something like that.
Like, and I want to say, like, I felt like I had responsibilities and I felt like I had things to take care of. But now it's, of course, 10 times more. Yeah. But I don't know. I think we just, back then, I think a lot of us felt invincible. Like, when you were doing Hip Hop Makes Me Feel, like, your confidence in that was so, like, present, right? So I think that's just how a lot of us were like that at Luther. We all kind of had like passions, like even with Faith. Like when she first started taking pictures, I was like, Faith, these are
like,
good.
Charge
like,
more. What are you doing?
Like I was so hyped, and I love and I'm so happy to see her still doing that. Right. But like now, I think I've changed I don't want to say what I care about or like what I put my energy in. Like my invisible load now is like, okay, my friend texted me 2 days ago and you did not text them back.
I know.
Like, are you being a good friend? Because when I say my friends and my family carried me through this first year. So like the things that I've focused on as of late has been like my relationships and then just like building things with my son. So now that I'm focusing more back on like career entrepreneurship, I don't know what that's going to look like.
Has motherhood inspired any type of like project for you or like business at all, or is it still kind of like the same? Because I feel like, I know when I first had Gabrielle, I'm like, I want to do a clothing line for kids. And now, especially with a boy, I'm like, I'm definitely going to.
Yes, because it's nothing.
Yeah, it's really nothing. But so has motherhood made you think of anything, or you just kind of like, it's still Kaylin? Like, do you still keep that separate too? Because that's interesting too.
Yeah. So, okay. So I used to think that being an entrepreneur, like you just had your own business. But the more I talk to more entrepreneurs, like really successful ones, like they do a business then that's complete. They move on to another one.
Right.
So I definitely see that now. When I was in my freshman year, I met up with, her name was Taylor. And we had a passion about giving hygiene products to homeless women. And that we worked on it for a long time, but never really went anywhere. But when I got pregnant, I'm like, how are homeless women like doing this? So not that I want to do it, but it did like spark that type of like, okay, maybe a nonprofit or maybe some drives or something like that. So I definitely have had thoughts around like, or more sympathy, I will say, for women and like moms once I've gone through that. And I've always had it, but I also like seeing how fortunate and blessed I was with my pregnancy, because I had no problems, and the amount of support I had, it really made me be like, you know, what about the mom that doesn't?
Yeah, I feel that, because I definitely do think about like teen moms.
Yes. Oh my God.
Or like, I know like people who just are in abuse, like don't have a good partner or don't have family. And that all that is just like crazy to even think about.
Yes.
Because it can be scary. It's a very vulnerable time.
And I hit, like I never thought that I would go through postpartum, but I did. And I didn't think that it would be like I thought I was going to be like, okay, you know, like kind of down in the dumps about certain things, but it made me, I was more down in the dumps about like, it heightened like, what are you going to do with your career? Okay. That's really all it was for me. And like, I think also being laid off, so late in my pregnancy kind of catapulted me into it even more. But even, you know, with that, it was making me think like, okay, like, because I say now, like, I'm getting back to myself, but myself is not even the same person I was like before. So when I say that, it's more so just like me getting back, you know, to being confident in who I am as a person.
Right. And do you think, does any of it have to do with how you want your son to look at you, or does it just have to be how you want to look at yourself?
So like, I feel that if I look at myself a certain way and I take care of like who I am, like he'll see that.
Right.
I definitely am going to like try to like show him certain things and like make sure he knows, you know, certain things, stuff like that. But I definitely feel like as long as I'm doing what I need to do so that I'm happy, like he'll see like, okay, my mom did this, my mom did that. Right. And because I know moms that have changed like everything for their kids, and in the long run, like they're not happy.
Yes, right.
You know, once their kids are gone, it's like, okay, what now? And so I want to make sure that I'm making decisions for me, but that are also going to impact him by seeing me do certain things. Right. So that's really right. I would say that.
And it's just so crazy because I feel like when Gabriella today, she was like, "Can I come to work with you?" Because we just say that we're going to work. I'm going to go work with Faith, and she's like, "Can I come?" And I'm like, if you can sit for 30 minutes, like if you could just sit still and be quiet, no, that would never happen. Like that wouldn't happen. And I'm mad at myself for even telling her that. But it's just that I have always been wanting to like do projects and be, you know, and I like that my daughter is now seeing me do that, because I love being at home with her, but I also, because there's just a lot of things that I feel like that decisions that I've made after I went through college that I'm like, if my daughter came to me and asked me to do this or that, I probably would say no. Or like if she would say like, you know, I got married so young, and it's a good situation, but at the same time, it's like certain things that I just want her to focus on more. Yeah. And I don't feel like I made any mistakes or regrets or anything, but it's just like certain things that I'm like, I want my daughter to just like really be confident in herself and like.
Yeah, and I think that I just think it's cool, by the way, that your job or your passions are not the norm.
Right.
So I didn't have anyone around me at all. Like, I remember when I was, well, let me go back. I have entrepreneurs in my family, but my route, no one around me was doing that. And I think that when I was trying to tell people what I wanted to do, it would also kind of like, okay, well, maybe that is kind of crazy because they're looking at me like I have 5 heads.
Yeah, and there's no guide. That's a very good point because there's no guidance in it. And it's almost like that's why I'm always like, would I force my kids to go to college? I'm like, college helps in certain.
Girl, it helped me grow. That like myself.
It's an
that
experience.
Was it.
Yeah. And it did some things, and I wouldn't say like college is for some people and some people it's
certain
for
majors.
Not. And I do think it opened doors for me and made connections. But I also went to school for free because my dad or I had a scholarship to go because whatever. So I didn't have to take out loans and stuff. If I did, then maybe I wouldn't have went that route or whatever. But for our lane, sometimes people just are so judgmental on if we say we have like an idea, especially if you have a lot of ideas and you didn't do one, then they're like, oh, remember you had that one. Yeah. What happened to that one? And it's just like,
that's what I was saying when I was talking to an entrepreneur and he was telling me like, I'll do one thing and then it goes to the next. Because sometimes that one thing may not be the one that needs to work, but it's the one that is showing you what to do in the next one. So I will say I also like, once I got to the point where I stopped caring so much about like what people were going to think about what I was doing, it just made things a lot easier for me. Because it got to a point where I was just like, I don't want, this shirt is going to be ugly. No one's going to like it. And I'm like, but they like what you did first. Yeah, so just do that.
That is true. That's true. So like moving forward with like all your goals, do you feel like discouraged at all with like, does having a child make you feel like, not even he gets in the way, that's not what I mean, but are you that invisible like mom guilt too? Like, do you feel like, oh, I'm taking time away from him, or do you battle that at all?
So today he had his baby dedication this morning. So at first I was like, oh, how am I going to make this work? But then I thought about it. I was like, you know, I'm with him every single day.
Right.
You know, he goes to bed with me. He wakes up with me. I show up for every doctor's appointment. Me and his dad are there. Like, we're very present. And, like, we do classes. Like, we are there for him. And I think he knows. I don't want to say, he does. He's so, like, like, me and him are, that's my guy. But, yeah, so I felt bad at first, but then I was like, no, because like this is what you like. These are the things that you like to do. You love to create. You love to be in like creative spaces, and if that's gonna help you be the person you need to be, that's only gonna help you be a better mom. So at first I did, but then once I thought about it, I was like, he's fine.
I feel that because it's still like I'll go, and this is I told Gerald this, my husband, like, I can go to the store, I can go grocery shopping, leave my kids at home. But then when I get to the podcast, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been gone for, girl, you were just doing, like, you, so it's just like, when you think about like what it can do for you, I don't know, the mom guilt comes up in the most random ways.
Places. It's so crazy. And it's kind of sad, but it's gotten to the point where like TJ Maxx and Marshalls are like my fun places to go, and that's not good.
I feel that.
And so because like I would be out and like with my friends, I'm like, oh, I can't drink too much because if I drink, I gotta go home. My baby's gonna be crying. Like, who wants to deal with a crying baby and you a little? So it's like I would just. I've limited that a lot, but I feel like it's just, for me, I know it's going to come with time, and it's going to come with me, like, just realizing, like, you're still you. You just have a child now.
Yeah. You mentioned your friends. Like, how do you feel like your friendships have changed through, I guess it's, when people ask me that question, it is hard to say specifically what it is, because for me, post-grad is you're already separated from friends that were right there. True. And then I moved to Utah, which is far. And then but being a mother, even through all that, I feel like being a mother even not pulled me away from my friends, but made it more so like
your focus has changed.
And and if your friends don't have kids, it's really hard. It's like, it's nobody's fault, but it's like, you have to really communicate now with like certain things. Do you feel like your friendships have changed, or the way that you saw them has changed? Like,
so I'm very vocal, and I was like, when I felt the shift coming and the change coming, I kind of like, I hit up a lot of my friends about it, and I would just be like, hey, I know I've been missing, this is going on in my life right now. But I will say that as we've gotten older, like, we all have stuff going on. Now, I may, like, my stuff is not going to be your stuff, but, you know, we pretty much meet each other, like, where we are.
That's good.
And we call each other out. Like, my friends are quick to be like, Kaylin, like, what's up? Like,
Yeah,
you're
good.
I know you're missing, but, like,
Right.
are you okay? Like, what's going
that's
on?
good.
You know, and so I've had a few that I've had some weird ones, but they weren't my, like, friends. These were just, like, casual friends that I had. So it was hurtful because, like, wow, like, you were the ones that I was hanging out with all the time. But my friends that, you know, would show up for me, and, like, the ones that I could really have a conversation with, they're still here. Like, they show up for my kids so much that it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, the ones I lost were just, like, my casual friends. And I don't even want to say we lost. I would just want to say, like, my journey, like, where I was going was not where they were going. And that's fine. So that's how that
Right. Do you feel like that there has also been, because skills that you have learned through, like, entrepreneurship that helped you be a parent, like, or like what
just
would you say?
multitasking.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, I literally, but I will say, I don't care what no one says, mom brain is a thing. Like, it is so bad for me.
I mean, I literally, like, I can't stand it. It's like
it stresses me out.
And it's like, and then it's like, why aren't you doing things to help yourself? Like, I'm like, why do I not just have, like, a notepad? Like,
or a calendar, like, girl.
Like, plastered on me so that I can just always, because it's just, like, the most littlest thing. And, like, I'm going to the store, and I have to, Alicia, before, you would get sidetracked with stuff, but now I'm
bad.
like, dang. And the laundry, I mean, but yeah, so.
Yeah, laundry, right, that thing right there. No, I used to, like, I don't want to say I didn't understand, but, like, when I knew stay-at-home moms that had help, and I would be like, you're at home all day.
That's
like,
a
what
good
are you
point.
doing? But now I get it.
Oh my gosh,
100%.
because I'm like, so does that discourage you at all, like, being, like, a full-time entrepreneur, having a kid, and being, like, now that you're a stay-at-home, you experience being a stay-at-home mom, does that, like, how am I going to do it all? Or what is the balance between it? Does that scare you? Or are you just, like, just waiting to see how that's going to, like, transition?
So my plan is to see. But eventually, like, I know for sure that I'm going to have, like, someone come in to help clean.
Yes.
Like, that's really the biggest thing for me. My son throws things everywhere.
Right.
I'm a take everything out of the closet kind of girl when I'm trying to find something to wear.
Right.
So it's going to definitely, like, and I think that's okay.
Yes.
Like, I think that at first I felt like, why can't you just, like, keep everything in order?
Do it all.
I'm like, girl, like, when you really think about it, like, you can't.
I
like,
feel that.
And some people can, but the people that are like that, they're kind of, like, rigid, and they're just driving themselves crazy.
To do it all.
Yes.
Right.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel that, because even now, my son is now 3 months, but I'm still, like, now I'm okay with going to bed with the kitchen, like, a little dirty and, like, the living room messed up. Because now I wasn't, like, always, because I feel like Jarrell will watch this and be like, girl, you're not a clean person, but I'm just like, but just because I don't get it done, it's still on my head.
Oh,
like,
it's
oh
there.
my gosh. And so now I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because guess what? As soon as you clean it up,
right back.
Right
back.
right back. So it's like, that is a good point. It's just like, I think that's what advice I would give moms going to entrepreneurship too. Just like, it's going to get done, and your kids see what you're doing too. Do you feel like that you're distracted at all with, like, this is a random question because I just thought about it too, because being there for your kids, sometimes I realize I'm distracted by social media sometimes. Like, if she's playing or she's in the bath, I could just, because I haven't had time to just sit there all day, so I'm just scrolling and mommy, and I'm, oh, my bad.
Yep.
But do you ever feel like, I just need this time right now?
Now,
there's a balance, right? But have you found it?
I take my time. I don't know, tell nobody else. I'm going to take my time.
Right.
So I'm a Real Housewives junkie, and that's my comfort show. And if I need that, like, if I'm having a day, I will take that. Now I will say, like, TikTok is trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like kind of had to get out of that because my son just started walking, and I caught myself one time like going through it, and like I look over and he got out of the gate. I'm like, whoa, okay, we gotta calm this down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I carve out my time. Like I used to try to like work or do things during his naps because I work, but I work from home. So I'm at home and like I'm trying to work, clean, cook all at the same time and watch him, and it's super hard. And I still have not came up with a schedule for that. And so I've gotten to the point where I just stay up late and I think that I'm doing something, but I'm really just making myself tired for the next day.
Right.
But I take my time. I get it however I can. Like I said, if I have to lie and say I'm going to the store and I go to Marshall's, then hey, that's what we gonna do, baby.
Yeah, I just feel like there's such a balance that you have to have, and it's just like moms who just I appreciate like Kim Kardashian more after I became a mom. Yeah. And it's not she has all the help in the world, right? Show. But they're still moms, right? And it's still like it can be done. Yes, I do get that a lot of people just don't have the help, and I do respect that and I do see that, but it's just like you realize like, first of all, I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and not because it was like I didn't like it. I just didn't see it for myself. But now I love it, just being at home. But it's not easy. Girls who grew up thinking like I want to be a stay-at-home mom, I don't think they really thought about like what that meant.
I never saw it, so that was one thing for me too. Same. Like I don't know any stay-at-home moms. Like I don't. Or I'm taking that back. My cousin and his wife, she stays at home, and that works for them. And she was probably the first person I ever saw stay at home, and I was just like, wow, that's cool. Like, and you're there for your kids. Like she's at everything, and I think that's awesome. Yeah. And so that was. Now I've never thought about being a stay-at-home mom. However, I've always wanted to be a PTA mom. I've always wanted to be able to like be at the school for everything. And so I was like, well, how are you gonna do that, girl? And you gotta like, how are you gonna do that? Yeah. So. Yeah, that's how that was.
Yeah, I feel that because even like when you're talking about having someone clean, I feel like when Jarrell's first or second year in the league, I was out to eat with one of the wives whose husband is like he's making millions, and we were just talking. I was like, I just don't, and I had a baby, so this is Jarrell's second or third year. So I was like, I don't understand how people keep their house clean, cook, and all this. She's like, you don't have a cleaner? And I'm like, no. But then I realized like people who we went to school with, they're like, I have somebody come once a month or twice a month. And I have a friend who works 9 to 5 and she has someone come every now and then to clean it. And it was like, it's regular. So I feel like there's so much pressure that we put on ourselves to do it all that we really don't have to do it all. And it's just like crazy.
That's what did it for me. Like once I started meeting people like in my age range, that was like, oh, my cleaner comes on Tuesday. I was like, you're what?
Yeah, right. Because like, when growing up,
you don't do this.
Yes, yeah. Like it's just like, how? Yeah. How are we even supposed to do all of that? Do you feel like your support system is set up for you to like really be successful in the entrepreneurship, like moving forward? Or do you feel like that there's like something that needs to change? Like I know you live in Charleston. Do you feel like you need to move closer to home, or you feel grounded? Yeah,
so that's definitely something like I'm probably gonna do in the near future, just because like I have no family there. Yeah. And like with that year that I did not work, or that I got laid off last year and stuff, like I feel like I lost so much time. So for me, it's like it feels so like go time, but I don't have that like crazy pressure. I just feel like it's time. Like it just feels like it's time for you to figure things out. It's time for you to be like who you need to be or whatever. But so yeah, I still again, I'm doing a business that no one in my family is doing again. So they're still like, what is it? It's a what? So, I'm doing a frozen bar cart. And so it's like a slushy machine, and it's a cute setup. So for me, it goes into the lines of like, I love doing parties. I love doing event planning. Yeah. So that could be something that, ties into that. But I don't think that, Because when you say support system, are you saying as far as like family wise or help with my son, or are
I
you
guess
saying
like
just
help
like,
for your son, but also help for you. Like whatever
Oh,
makes
yeah.
you feel like you need to get what you need to get the job done.
So let me say this. My family supports me in everything that I do. However, like they may not know how I need to be supported.
Right,
And so
right.
like that's where I struggle with communicating that because sometimes I don't know how I need to be
Right.
supported. But they like if I tell them or if I like express something, they're there. Like I literally had 30 people helping me set up for my son's party yesterday. And it was like a blessing. Like I literally took a step back and I was like, this is crazy. Like I have so much help. But like with me being an entrepreneur, sometimes I'm nervous about what I'm doing next. So I don't even tell people what I'm doing. And so that also makes me like not have the help I need.
Yeah.
Because I'm so nervous about like, is this gonna work? Is it perfect? Is it this, is that? And by the time I done did all that, girl, you could have just said what you needed and it was done.
I love that you're saying like you have all like you go through all these because I have so many ideas, plans.
Yeah.
I have started so many things and I've gotten to the point where I bought everything that I need for this one thing and it doesn't do it. And then it's like, and especially like with sharing finances, it's like, okay, well, I need this to get started. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, and luckily he doesn't put the pressure on me to like, well, you know, the last thing didn't work. You know what I mean? And but that is a lot of pressure.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but that's a lot of pressure to put things out into the world thinking like, oh gosh, this is just another thing that she's doing. You know what I mean?
So that's how I feel currently. Like I feel like it to me it feels make or break. Like and not necessarily in the sense of like it has to be crazy successful, but it just has to be like a thing. It just has to be something like I'm not saying I don't want it to be, Lord, I do. But if I got a couple bookings a month, like I would be satisfied. Like it's just something that it's more so like I don't say a passion project, but I just love like when I have something that's mine that I can do and I can like take pride in. So
and I love that for you. And that comes from Kaylin. That doesn't come from the outside world, right? Because that's always how you've been. And I think that that's important for people to know too. That like maybe that you weren't just off the grid because you didn't have anything going on, but and worried about what other people think because you are yourself already putting that pressure on you yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, well, we can wrap up, but when it comes to your kid, what do you like want him to know or about entrepreneurship? If he comes to you, like, or how will you support him later on in life when it comes to being an entrepreneur and stuff like that? Would you go all out with like, I'll support you 100% with funding and all that, or like, what do you want? How do you want it to be like set up for him?
So if Kai came to me and said that he wanted to be an entrepreneur, I would probably first he would have to like kind of have some sort of game plan. Like he can't just say, oh, like he would have to have a game plan. But I know for sure I would 100% like be all in, just because like I said, my family is all in. They didn't know how to be all in, or they didn't know like what do you need, girl? Like they didn't know. And I think that honestly, it's just gonna be me checking in more than anything. Like, okay, have we done this? Like, okay, so last week you said you're gonna do this. Like, what does that look like today? And I think that just trying to keep him accountable, because for me, having people around you that will hold you accountable also helps.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
having someone that not necessarily pressuring you, but just like, okay, girl,
Keep
like,
you on,
what's up?
on top of
you know,
it.
And if I can be that for my son, but also like, he's like, well, I needed this, but it was okay. All right, if this is all you need, and this is gonna help us get to the next step, go ahead and take that. Like, and if I can do that for him, of course. Now, what's not gonna happen is I'm just like throwing out money at every little willy-nilly idea that he has. But especially like for that first one, so he feels like he can do it. Yeah,
that's because I know how I am with my ideas, and I'm just like hoping that it transcends like the creativity and Jarrell is so creative too, and I'm hoping it transcends to our kids too, because it's just like so many tools that I have learned later on in my life that because nobody around me was doing what I wanted to do, that I'm ready to like pass on, basically.
And so like also just like I'm a big, I don't want to say I'm a big personality, but I am like, and I'm very sarcastic. So sometimes like could be that I was saying what I needed, but people weren't taking me seriously, and that sometimes would like frustrate me, and it would make me feel and I would do this too. I would like laugh or like kind of awkwardly like say what I needed, and I was never just like. So I want to be with him. Like I want him to be able to easily translate what he needs and not feel embarrassed about the dream that you have. Like whatever it is that you want to do, however far-fetched it sounds, like, because sometimes that's how it is for me. Like I want like something that's so out of the universe, and then but when it's time for me to speak on it, it's so awkward for me sometimes. So I want him to, that's going to be the biggest thing, is I want him to have confidence in whatever it is that he chooses to do.
I still that, because I definitely have that same problem. So and both of me and Jill. So one thing before we go, what advice would you give a new mom trying to maybe not even get back to herself? Because like you said, you're a new person. I think sometimes we say that and people think that that's capable of doing it. Like probably when you were pregnant, you were like, I'm gonna get back to myself. I'm gonna go, like, even when it comes to like getting back in shape. Yeah. Getting back in shape, whatever that means for whatever. And it's like, I want my old body back. Yeah. But it's not really. It's not, baby. It's very different, okay? So what would you get just to start doing things for herself? What are the first few steps you would say?
I will say what made me start, and when I say get back to myself, I mean having energy again. Right. Wanting to be in spaces again, and wanting to just really like talk. Like, I don't want to say talk, but just like, like
be seen.
Be seen, yeah. Because at first I was just like, well, what is life? But if I had anything to say, I would say do it. Like, don't think about it. That would be the biggest thing, because I would have ideas in my head of like, oh, I would like to go here, but when that event would come, I would be like, I ain't got no outfit. It doesn't fit. Like, just go. Because once you go to that first thing, or once you start that first nightly facial routine, whatever it is that you need to do, I think that's just honestly just doing it, because it's hard to get started. Getting back into whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah. And give yourself grace. And because I don't want to say I felt pressure, like when I was saying get back to myself initially, like that was like me hanging out with my friends. That was me,
right.
Like,
no, for real.
Like, because I loved a good turn up. I did. And now it's like, I be like, Lord Jesus, when is this going to like, I do it because that's like sometimes my friends love to do that. And I love being there with them for a short period of time. But my turn ups now just kind of feel like they're different, like what I want to do. Yeah. So I would just say, just do it. Like whatever you are really feeling, act on it. Like, and if you feel like going to Marshall's all day, do that first, girl. Yeah. That's what you need to do.
It can be so small. So small. And when you said nightly skincare, I'm like, yes, because I like just taking a good shower, not rushing through it. Yeah. All that is like the first few steps.
Listen, I'm sorry, but my child's father, he works overnight. So I would be terrified to leave him like in the crib. I don't know. Yeah, so yes, I'm taking like the quickest shower of my life for the past year. And like I would say like a month or two ago, I was able to take like my first, like I went to Turks with my friends for her birthday, and I was like, I don't have to rush. Like I don't have to I can go to bed. I don't have to worry about my kid in the morning. Like it was the weirdest thing, but I missed him so much. Yeah. So just give yourself grace. Yeah. That's it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Very vulnerable, because becoming a mother, especially when you know that people are watching you, is a lot of pressure. Yes. People have especially if it's not conventional too. Right. Like, especially if it's like not the way, or people are waiting to see what the next thing is, and people aren't really communicating. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like waiting to see what's next. It can be hard.
I know we're out of time, but I literally had so many people when they found out I was pregnant. It wasn't more. I got a lot of congratulations. I didn't say that, but I got more people like shocked. more than anything. Because they were just like, we just saw you doing this first, or we saw you like here first. And that was like, that also played a part in a lot of like my feelings or the pressure that I had at first. I'm just like, well, I did too, lady, but that is not what's going on.
Yeah. And I feel that, yes. Yeah. But people can always say something when they're not in the situation too. And it can be like hard to go. And they're not there. They're not doing, and they're also not up with you taking care of the baby and got these ideas in your head or planning things out. They're also not funding your ideas. So
they're not washing these bottles. They're not doing none of that. So I had to, once I realized that, and I got to a point where I was just like, you know, I got in my faith and that was it. And I realized like, girl, you're doing whatever you need to do for you.
And you're so young. And that's why I asked, like, does that come from Kaylin within? Because I feel like a lot of pressure that people feel outside of like, oh, I gotta be this way, I gotta be that way, because so many people on social media and stuff are entrepreneurs and stuff. So, but it seems like you naturally are that way.
So yeah, I'll say this. So my father passed when I was a month old, and so I've always had like, I felt awkward just because like I don't have a dad, and everyone else around me had a dad, and in my family, like I'm super close to my dad's family, and my parent is not here, like my link to you guys is not here. So I had to book. I had this outer shell for a long time to be confident, and it kind of transcended, and my mom saw that. And she has always been very like vocal and like spoke life into me, into like who I am. And I think that has done it for me. Like my family, not even just my mom, but my entire family has always spoke life into me. And you know, we never really talked about the passing of my dad. That was always like a sad, you know, thing for us. But without talking about him, they would push me up. So I think that was probably what did it for me and made me feel like I can kind of really do anything, just because of the support that I had from them, just simply because of like they knew that I was hurting because I don't have that. Like this is my dad's jacket. Like I literally have, in small ways, I try to, you know, get that comfort from him, because I do have a big personality and I know that I've always exuded confidence, but there's always been like, you know, doubts. And that's just mainly just because like I do wonder like who would I be if I had a dad? Because I think girls who have both parents, like a lot of them are just like untouchable. Like they are a lot more like
because my dad died when I was young too, so it's like those thoughts are same thoughts, you know, like, but I was the oldest child, so I had to be a mom. And it's just like, now when I look at Gabriella, I'm like, you're so lucky to have like a dad. You know what I mean? Like and then this morning she said, is your dad coming on Sunday? And that's when it hit me like, I'm gonna have to explain this to you.
I never thought about that till you just said that. No, you're good. Like I've never thought about that. And what's crazy is my mom, like, just told me like a couple months ago, she was just like, I'll never forget the first day that you really asked me about your dad. And I was just like, what did I say? She was like, oh, mommy, I literally said, can I go to heaven to visit him? And I was like, where did I get that from? Like, how did I even, you know that? And I never thought about, you know, having to explain to my child that, mommy's dad is not here. And I have not taken my son to his grave. And I usually go to my dad's grave often. And I've avoided it this whole year. And I don't know why.
Well, I haven't either. And it's because she watches Disney. There's death in Disney, every Disney movie. But I just don't know how to explain it, and I don't want to put the fear in her. I don't know if she would be fearful of that situation, especially because Jarrell is gone, and she asks about her dad so much. And I just don't know how to explain that to her. And I also am scared of that reality. Jarrell and I both are scared of that reality of one of us not being here. So it's just like, but I guess what you were saying about your family puts things into perspective for me, and I always try to tell myself like, you might you never know what's gonna happen when you're gonna go, but just put that confidence and love, and make sure that all they know is love.
Yeah, that's
So
what
that
happened with me.
always will remember it. Well, that took a little.
I'm
turn,
sorry,
but
guys.
that's good. That was good. Well, okay. Thank you guys. If you're still here, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 3. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I forgot what